Hello, this is Adilio, and I'm very excited to share with you the Jack London's tale about To Build the Fire. Well, in this case, right, this short story is related to main nature and how we can survive until we recognize how fragile we are compared to nature and how nature power can damage mankind. In this case, right, is the tragic tale of a man who decides to travel alone through the hostile environment of the Yukon in suffering temperatures and falls victim, right, to the unrelenting and unforgiving power of nature. During this journey, right, the man gets his feet wet as he falls through the ice into the water of a hot spring. In this case, right, as well, his severity to the cold and the submersion of the cold, some of 107 degrees below the freezing point. This man's life, right, depends upon his ability to promptly light a fire to keep his feet from freezing. The problem is, after one half unsuccessful fire starting, right, endeavor and several pitiful attempts, the hopelessness, right, of the man's long struggle against the hostile environment of the Yukon begins to become apparent. And the problem is, right, that he struggled against the hostile environment, and now the panic on this episode, right, in which the man tries desperately to return to the feeling to his extremities, and by running like a chicken with his head cut off, the man last, right, grows calm and decides to meet death with dignity. Now, the story's right central idea and theme is one portrayed by main essentialist writers. That man lives a solitary existence, which is right subject to the relentless, unforgiving forces of nature. And ever subtitle part of this theme is that is man's goal to find meaning in his existence. Now, the word existence, right, as well as subject to the existentialism itself, evades definition, because, right, he points out the problem by comparing the act of defining existentialism to the act of trying to explain human existence in a single sentence. Now, this statement, of course, redefines the theme of Jack London's short story, The Lone Man Traveling Across the Bleak. Unfriendly, right, expanses the Yukon and comes to be seen as this solitarily across the bleak. And then, of course, this individual, right, is found in a very undifferent cosmos, cruel inhabited areas. At the conclusion, right, of the story, we definitely see the man come to the realization in a round way that it was best to meet his fate with dignity, thus, right, giving the meaning to an otherwise meaningless and cruel death. Basically, right, this existential theme, to build the fire, is not likely to be a mere coincidence, but instead appears, right, to be part of London's intentional design. According to Charles, right, Walcott, Jack London was greatly influenced by the ideas of such men such as Charles Darwin, Herbert Spencer, right, and others, all prominent thinkers, right, of London's theme. So it is not an accident that the heart of the story lies in existentialist theme, right, basically. Of course, as well, right, imaginary is an important element which London uses to illustrate and emphasize his theme. Labors his mood and atmosphere, which is conveyed through repetitive imaginary and cold and gloom and witnesses. As well, of course, this story, right, is basically referred to people or men that always they rely on themselves, knowing that nature is more powerful than ever man existed in this world. And such a story has another background idea, which is never think that you or as the man is power related, because we can get down at a very down point in realization of our lives. But also, right, with this classic style, Jack London has created an exciting and unforgettably tragic tale which illustrates a modern philosophic theme or idea, because the story, right, it speaks of a man's need to find meaning in the sufferings of this solitary existence in an environment which is both hostile and indifferent to the sufferings of life. London illustrates, right, and emphasizes the theme in three ways: through his choices of setting, his imaginary, and his artful placement of irony within the story. So, what is the main idea that I grasped from this story, and a lesson that I learned is that we are always condemned to depend on nature and the power of it. Do not rely on things, right, that it seems that you have the best control of it. And of course, right, the best idea is to control your emotions, and no matter where you are with the things you may have, like material things or something that you relied on, at the end we all are going to die. It doesn't matter what kind of things we have in life, but we are going to that same path, right, of nature. Also, the emotions that I took from the story is always be content and be happy and grateful with everything you have around, because you never know one day when it becomes like you're in a solitary environment and enjoy people around you. That's the best part I enjoyed. They compare it to a wolf and a dog, right? That they are the best men's friends, but also bringing it to a real life is about everything. Enjoy it about everything. Stop complaining about life and enjoy the combination with nature and, of course, right, the human existence in this world. Doesn't matter the place, enjoy what you have, where you are, with everything you can possess. But remember, at the end, there is a cold ending, and everyone is going through that same path. This is the idea that I grasped from this story. Is a well-written story, by the way. I highly encourage you to read it. You will like it. At the beginning it sounds like boring, but at the end, when you grasp the idea of Jack London into this tale, you will really like this. So I hope you enjoyed it.